All right, there we go. So I told you all that, about the size requirement, 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters by 10 millimeters, and you really just had almost a full hour to work on your account. So what you're going to be doing now is more advanced work. I want to show you guys how you can bring in images into Tinkercad to make cool things like you can see here. Here was one of the examples that I did in the last hour. Here is a name. Here is a name tag for my dog. It should have a little hole in there that you'd be able to put around her collar that's in the shape of a golden retriever. So just some more cool stuff, possibilities for you to print, and we'll go ahead and try that out and give you guys some time at the end to explore. We are going to be doing something different on Wednesday. We're going to be starting Google SketchUp. Okay? Any questions? All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then. So I want to start by explaining a little bit about vector graphics, what they mean. Okay? So vector graphics, and that's what we're going to be working with today. They're the representation of images based on mathematical expressions. So these are graphics that are based on vectors, and these vectors are also called paths. And paths are made up of points or nodes. So that seems a little strange right now, but we'll go into much more detail. But this is the technical definition of vector graphics. Basically, it's an image that instead of being comprised of tiny dots put together, is comprised of dots laid out by a mathematical expression. Okay? So traditional computer image files are called raster. They're referred to as raster. And these are like a JPEG, GIF, bitmap. You may have heard these terms before. And these images are made up of a grid of pixels. You could think back to the days of working on in MS Paint, if you ever worked in Microsoft Paint, where you draw by just, your paintbrush essentially is this tiny block, and that's one pixel, and you combine all of those blocks together and you make this pixelated artwork. So a JPEG, a GIF, any of these raster format images are comprised of a set number of dots. That's why when you make a raster image, a bitmap image, a traditional computer graphic, if you try to make it much bigger, if you try to either zoom in it a lot or expand it, it's going to look pixelated and bad. Honestly, it doesn't look very good. Vector graphics, since they aren't defined by a set number of points, they're defined by this mathematical expressions, a set of mathematical expressions. They have start and end points with curves and angles along the way. That means that you can make them bigger without it looking bad. So let's see how they actually work. Basically, you can make a complex image out of simple geometric shapes that are combined together, and these simple geometric shapes are called primitives. So an example of a primitive would be a point, a line, curve, polygon, and you can see them here. It shows the nose of this little lion, and it's just comprised of different primitives laid over each other, just a tan block. And over it you see some darker tan triangles, kind of over that you see a pink polygon and then this black polygon. So all of these simple geometric shapes combine together to represent a more complex diagram. Well, that's also essentially what we're doing in tinkercad. We take these simple shapes, a sphere, a cube, and combine them together to come up with these complex shapes, like Darth Vader or a penguin. So, like I was saying before, if you take a raster graphic and you resize it, you lose image quality. It looks pixelated. But a vector graphic is going to stay smooth and clean, since it's not a specific number of dots, but it's instead it's a series of defined and related curves. So if let's consider this graphic if this is a vector graphic, you'd be able to zoom in on this text and read it perfectly. You would be able to make this graphic bigger, pull it out so that it is bigger, and you'd still be able to read the text. If you tried to do that to a traditional graphic, a bitmap graphic or a pixelated one, when you would make it bigger or you zoom in, it would look pixelated. You wouldn't be able to read what was on the label. Are there any questions so far? Does this make sense? We are going to use vector graphics, or we've already used vector graphics with Scratch. So if you've used the browser-based version of Scratch, Scratchcat is a vector graphic. You're able to make Scratchcat bigger or smaller, and you're actually able to edit Scratchcat's graphics itself. And it looks smooth, it looks nice. Whereas this is an example of a bitmap version of Scratchcat. It's just pixelated. You can see the straight lines that make up Scratchcat. Oops. So why are we talking about this today? We're talking about it because we can use vector graphics, this defined set, related set of lines. We can take these vector files and import them into Tinkercad, and Tinkercad will make a kind of a flat yet still 3D shape from that vector file. It's very cool. And so we're going to do that today. So I want everybody to start by going to Edmodo and downloading the Darth Vader file that I have there. I went ahead and put this SVG file up. I'm going to teach you guys how to search for SVG files in just a moment, but I wanted to start with one that I know that everyone would be able to have access to. So I'll give you guys a minute. I want you to log into Edmodo and just click this image, and a copy of the file should immediately start downloading for you. So go ahead and try that out. Oops. Okay, raise your hand if you need a minute to get this file. And there's only a handful of us tonight, so no worries if you need another minute. Okay, that's cool. And if you have a question, let me know. But if you're just saying, it's fine. We got time, we got time. And whenever you do have the file, go ahead and put your hand down, please. Great. Okay. So we have the file downloaded, and you want to navigate as well to tinkercad. And hopefully I should have told you to keep up your tinkercad tab, but if not, open a new tab so that you'll be able to kind of switch between tabs here. And you're going to want to create a new design. And if you kind of clicked away from this in tinkercad, what you can do is click on the tinkercad icon in the top left of the screen, and you should go to this page and then create new design. Okay. And you'll see that right above shape generators, there is this import option. And that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to start by importing a file. And so you hit Choose File. And let's see, under my downloads, I have my Darth Vader full download that I just got. I can double click that. And this file is actually very big. So what you want to do is scale it down to just, let's say 10%. So that way it'll fit on our work plane. And then you go ahead and click Import. And this is what downloads. You can see that there are two kind of layers to this. One is highly detailed, very cool, but it would be really hard for a 3D printer to print this with this detail. So what I'd recommend, at least at this size, is just keeping the left side. So I'll give everyone a moment to catch up to this step, and then I'll show you how you can get rid of this piece. Because you'll notice you can't ungroup them. Tinkercad thinks it's just one thing. Okay, so what you're going to do, or maybe you guys could go ahead and let's see if anyone can make the suggestion. How are we going to get it so that you just see the left side? Since we can't ungroup them, you can't just select this part. What are we going to do to get rid of this side? You can either raise your hand to answer or type a response. What would you do to get rid of this right side? I'm going to give a major hint here. Oh no, Grace? You actually have to hit import after you set the scale to 10% and to 10 millimeters. You have to hit the import down there. Does this holes help anyone? Okay, good, Grace. I'm glad you got it. Anyone know what we're going to do with this Vox hole and this Darth Vader? What we can do is drop this on top. I dragged a box hole onto my screen, and I resized it so it covered the entire right half of my Darth Vader image. And then I'm going to click and drag to select all of everything, the solid object and the solid object within this hole shape, and group them together. And the hole is going to erase kind of whatever it's touching, so you're left with just the Darth Vader shape. Just the solid Darth Vader shape. And actually, something like this would turn out really, really good on a 3D printer, really clear. I have a Pikachu that's kind of like this that turned out really nice. To make sure this is the right shape, you can click and drag your ruler and drag it kind of off to the side, if you look at my screen right now, off to the side of your shape, like so. And you'll notice that this shape is actually a little bit too big. Remember, it needs to be 50 by 50 by 10, or less than that, right? So I'm holding down Shift, and I'm going to type this to 60, or not 60, 50. And let's shrink this down to 35. A little bit skinnier. Let's do, oops. And I have to have the ruler to be able to do this. And that should be good. Now, if I want it to be a keychain, I need to be able to get a key ring under it. Who has a suggestion on how I would be able to get a hole so that a key ring could go through? Anyone? Grace is on a roll. Use the cylinder hole. Exactly. So you drag the cylinder hole in there, and you're going to resize it. Oh, not tall enough. Got to make it a little taller here. Okay. And we'll group these together. All right, raise your hand when you're ready to move on to the next shape. Or, you can also send me a message if you have a question. Great, Amelia. Again, there's no rush. So if you're done and you're waiting, you can just kind of mess around with this shape, maybe give it color. What I like especially doing, putting is putting a shape on it. So I do that by putting the work plane on top of the shape. And then, oops. I like making this, kind of making an indent into my shape using the hole. It's good practice, and I think it ends up looking really nice when done correctly. And remember just to raise your hand when you're ready to move to the next shape. Wonderful timing. Oh, that's a very deep D that I put in there. Whew, that would look kind of bad. Maybe not that deep. There we go. D for Dubik or Darth Vader. Okay, so we're gonna now, I'm gonna show you how you can do this for your own shapes. And this is actually like a newer feature where we're able to just take the URL. So this should work. I'm hoping this works. Let's go ahead and try this out. So I want everybody to open a new tab. You can do that by doing File, New Tab. And I know we're all using different browsers, but you should be able to do something like File, New Tab, or File, New Window, and navigate yourself to Google Images. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to search, I want us all to search the same thing right now. You're going to be able to search your own thing very soon. But for right now, search Golden Retriever. And none of these are vector files. We wouldn't be able to use any of these. We would not be able to import them. What would happen is that, or what you would import would be it would just look like a rectangle, because tinkercad would just see it as this rectangle. It wouldn't be able to see the lines inside. Okay, so what we're going to do is click the gear, try to find the gear in the upper right corner of your Google search. It's your options, and you want to do an advanced search. And specifically, you want to search for SVG files. So you scroll down till you get to File Type, and you search for SVG files. And that will just return vector images for you. And so all of these you'd be able to import and make little shapes from. So I want you guys to try to find this one. It's from this little German website. And click View Image. And this beautiful vector image should pop up. So again, I clicked it and I clicked View Image. I didn't click it again. I didn't click Visit Page. I clicked View Image. And we're going to try this. Actually, let me try this real fast. Make sure this works. Yes. Success. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so much easier than saving these SVG files. Because I just do not like it. I don't like advising, people to just download images. You just get into a tricky area. Okay, so you click at the top where you see this URL, and you're going to copy this. You can do Edit, Copy, or Command-C or Control-C, and take this URL, and you guys can create a new design in Tinkercad. And you're going to paste the link. And hit import. And we're going to scale it down to 5%. This guy is really big. And there we go. All right. Raise your hand if you'd like me to show you that again. I want everybody to try to do it with the golden retriever, and then I'm going to let you try with whatever kind of shape that you would like, as long as you're using your safe search and using the URL option. So, anyone need to see that again? Okay, eyes on my screen for a moment. Make sure that you drag a ruler on there so you can make sure that it's under the limit. And I want to show one more cool thing. If you drag the work plane on top of your shape, you can use what's called the shape generators. Under Shape Generators Tinkercad, there's one called Text. And this can be really nice because if you're making a keychain and you want it to read your name or something like that, instead of having to drag each individual letter and being limited to the kind of font, you can change the font and the text. So again, my dog's name is Sandy. So if I was making a dog collar for her, I could do something like this. And you could either make this a hole and indent it into your shape, or leave it the way it is, kind of raised up into your shape. All right. how do you guys feel? Do you feel like you can do this on your own and find another SVG file that you want to use? Hopefully. If I wanted to look for can't even think of something that I would want. Let's say I needed to 3D print out another button because a button was lost in from my jacket. These are all internet buttons. Okay. This would not work very well, but you could you could do something like this, or let's see another example here. Let's say you were making like a necklace, and you just looked for, say you're making a dove necklace. There would be lots of cool SVG files you could pull to make your necklace. So you would just click on the image that you wanted, click View Image, and then copy the URL into the import line. And they might not all work perfectly. This one says that there's nothing there. So it may just be because it's so far off to the side. If you look. But just try another one. Remember, the colors don't matter. It's about the shape that you're making. And there's the dove shape imported in. All right, any questions? It's 7:37. I want you guys to work on this for the next 10 or so minutes, and I would love to see what you're working on in about 10 minutes. I'd love to see kind of the images that you're bringing in, what you're doing with them, whether you're adding your name or another symbol, making it into kind of like a jewelry piece or part of your name tag or name plaque. So I'm just going to, especially for people watching the recording, kind of come up with different SVG file ideas for what you could do. Oh man, I wanted to see if Young Engineers of Today was an SVG file. It is not. I made a. Oh, cool! Grace, do you mind if you show it off in the next few minutes? Yeah, I know myself some LOTR. Thanks, Grace. That's great. Oh man, I was trying to make a World Wildlife Fund necklace, but it looks like one of my panda's eyes didn't get. What happened here? Saw one of the panda's eyes, but not the other. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay, Grace, raise your hand whenever you're ready to share. Great. Grace, so you know, I am currently not hearing or seeing your screen, so just when you're ready, okay, there we go. Hit show screen. Grace, I'm not sure it's working. I'm sorry. You have to hit accept to show the screen. I'm still not seeing it. Yeah, I guess I'll switch back to being presenter. I'm sorry. Well, I'm a LOTR fan, so I would have enjoyed that keychain, I'm sure. Amelia or Brooke, you guys want to share? Yeah, Grace, I'm not sure. Sometimes it doesn't work quite as you planned. Okay, this panda has taken a lot longer than I thought it would, than planned. But I do want to show you guys, so look at my screen for a moment. One thing that you can do, I'm getting rid of these symbols here. I'll leave the copyright. That is. So this is for the World Wildlife Federation. And let's say you wanted to make a little necklace with that. Notice how there are holes there, so like you wouldn't be able to wear that as a necklace. It would fall apart. It's not all connected, or it might look like a cool necklace. It might also look a little strange. So what you could do instead is make a kind of circle pendant shape. Wow. Very much knew what I wanted. Okay. Let's make this a little thinner. Okay. And you could make the panda a hole. You may already see where I'm going with this. on top of the pendant. So you can use your align tools. Oof. Move this up a little bit. And then when you group them together, of course, I moved it up too high. Hold on. Let me ungroup those. Change my view here. Ooh, yeah, too high. Okay, now group them together. And there you go. You got a pendant with this shape almost kind of stamped into it. So you could make that for anything. Lord of the Rings kind of necklace or pendant. Or coin. Like you could make your own kind of currency. Not real currency, obviously, but fake currency among friends. Or token. With your own design on it. Pressed in. Alright, we got about 7 more minutes, so let me know if you want to share anything or if you have any additional questions. And we're going to keep building to the end of class. And I am here just waiting for questions. If you're watching the recording and you have questions on any of the content that you see, please let me know. Just shoot me an email, post on Edmodo, and I can try to help you out. I'm gonna go